Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Nothing like a little Irish coffee to get your Friday going. Um, Welcome to today's coffee break with WZ. My name's Chris, and I've got a couple things to share with you about webinars. Kind of strange times we're in right now. Many of us working from home. Boy, I can't remember the last time I drove my car. Oddly enough, I can't even remember the last time I got to see my daughter. And so, Erica, if you're on the call, morning, miss you. But honestly, who am I kidding? She's not up this early. So anyway, many of you may know and realize that I manage our international. You might see, hey, where in the world is Chris? Or see different things that we're doing internationally as an organization. WZEU office in London, EMEA office out of Dublin, doing training around the world, that kind of thing. But something you may not know that I do is I actually manage our webinar division. And I have been teaching webinars for WZ for 15 years now. And we have a variety of different webinars that we teach. And what I want to share with you today, the tips that I have are 8 simple reminders for the best takeaway of attending webinars. Yeah. That's good. So what I want you to think about when you're attending webinars, this is a great opportunity for you guys to be, furthering your education, a little bit of career development while you might be home and looking for things to do. Perhaps some of us that might even be, unfortunately, furloughed, laid off, or whatever. The career development for webinars can be very important, just as much as understanding that a webinar gives you an opportunity to learn from the pros in the industry and that sort of thing. And they're great opportunities to sit, listen in, engage, that kind of thing, and even make connections. Opportunities with connections of perhaps other delegates or people that attended the session, and more importantly, making a connection with the instructor that led your webinar. But the tips that I have for you are this: 8 things to think about when attending your webinar. First off, when you make a decision to attend a webinar, always go in early and test the platform. At WZ, we happen to use Zoom as our platform, for hosting our webinar sessions. But make sure you go in ahead of time, test the platform, make sure there's no IT issues, no firewall issues, struggle with getting audio through your computer, that kind of thing. Always, number one, always test ahead of time. Second, show up early. Just in case you have a little technical issue that might pop up. Just the other day, we had an impromptu meeting that we were going to do through Zoom since we're all remote and had a topic that we wanted to discuss, and invitation got sent over. Hey, you're invited to attend this meeting in 10 minutes, right? We've all been there. When I clicked on the link a minute before the meeting started, my Outlook froze up on me. Next thing I know, I entered the meeting 20 minutes late. Fortunately, it was recorded. I was able to go back and listen to some of the things that was discussed, that kind of thing. But always in your webinars, especially if you're paying for one, show up early, just in case there are any glitches, anything like that, get logged in early. Third thing to think about, mute your audio. If the lines are open, and I will tell you, when I run webinars for WZ, I always like opening the lines. I want the lines to be open so that you have an opportunity to talk, to engage, to ask questions, that kind of thing. If the lines have been opened, mute on your end, just in case you might have some background noise. You get some feedback from your computer, from your phone. You have phones ringing nowadays. You might have kids, dogs running around with you while you're on a webinar. So mute the line on your end so there isn't any disruption to the flow of the session for everyone else who might be attending. Now, of course, when you mute the phone on your end, make sure that if someone, an instructor-led webinar like we do at WZ, if someone calls on you, don't forget to obviously unmute, because there have been plenty of times when I've asked someone a question and said, hey, Eugene, what do you think about, such and such? Crickets. Eugene, you there? Crickets. Hello, Eugene. And then, sorry, man. Phone was muted on my side, so don't forget to unmute. But one tip: mute on your side, just so you don't have to worry about what might be happening around you. Most importantly, when you get into the webinar, what I want you to think about is this is a great learning opportunity. It is about career development. Go in mentally prepared to learn. Sometimes it's, oh, this seems like an interesting webinar. I'll attend it. And while I'm listening, I'll take care of some emails I have to, or I'll get caught up on the notes that I need to go through, and et cetera. And we're not fully engaged. We're not fully listening and paying attention. I want you to think about any seminar, any training opportunity that you have. Put a frame of mind in that I'm here to learn. Focus on the webinar and the topics that's being discussed, rather than being distracted. I know, if you get those speeding tickets and you're fortunate enough to maybe go through online, what do? We just click next page, next page, next page, next page, next page, next page. When it comes to a webinar, particularly one you might be paying for, think about mentally putting yourself in that frame of mind of, this is what I'm dedicating myself to for the next hour and a half, however long it might be, etc. Next thing, take notes. Take notes. Make sure you have takeaways. Go in with a couple goals of what you're hoping that would be discussed, what you'd like to take away from this webinar, what the description sounded like would be interesting, and what caused you to want to, sign up for this particular session. But take some notes. That way, at the end of the session, you have takeaways. I know at WZ, what we end up doing is at the end of the session, we email you a copy of the PowerPoint. Now you have an opportunity. You've taken notes during the session. That PowerPoint comes over to you. You can print it off, and then you can merge your notes, and then again give you those reminders of what was discussed and how you can further develop your skills in a particular area. Next, don't be shy about asking questions. You're there for a reason. And if for some reason the webinar isn't satisfying some of the needs that you have, don't be shy about asking a question. I know I did a session yesterday. I had 20 people on a telephone interview webinar, and was getting several questions typed over to me. Chris, what do we do about unions? What about, using a speakerphone? What are your thoughts on whether we should be doing video versus just a simple telephone call? These questions are coming over to me, giving me some insight into what people wanted to cover. And it helps me as a facilitator move through the webinar to ensure that we're satisfying the needs of everyone out there. Next, don't be shy to engage. Don't be shy to ask that question. Don't be shy if a facilitator, someone calls on you or asks for input. There are even times that I might call on someone and say, hey, what are your thoughts on? But there's other times I'll say, hey, guys, why don't you do this? Tell me, go ahead and type over some of your thoughts on such and such. And I may have 3 or 4 regulars that are continuing to type, and I could read through their comments, that kind of thing. But don't be shy. Once again, you're there for a reason. You have specific takeaways you want from your session. Make sure those are satisfied for you. And then finally, leave feedback. You know what? I love hearing from you after a session. Whether it is right at the end of the call as we're getting ready to say goodbye, don't be shy about, good, bad, and different. Hey, Chris, thanks. Enjoyed it, got some good things out of it. Type a quick note over to say thank you. More importantly, one of the things that you can do, what I love hearing, is getting a quick email from someone afterward. An email that, again, with the good, the bad, the ugly of what they thought of the session. Even if it is the bad and the ugly, that gives me some insight on how I can change it as a facilitator to make it better moving forward. But provide feedback. We love hearing feedback from you guys, what you liked, what you didn't like, that kind of thing. But don't be shy about providing feedback, because one of the things that simple little one line, hey, thanks for the webinar email may do for you when you sign up for a webinar is create that connection that could be important, to you and your business development, and creating perhaps a mentor or someone to talk to, and even create that connection on LinkedIn and other places. But again, 8 simple thoughts on, going forward with your webinar. Think about, test your platform ahead of time, show up early, mute your audio if the lines are open, mentally prepare to learn, take notes, ask questions, don't be shy about engaging, and then leave feedback. And if you follow those simple rules, you'll find that you can get a lot out of webinars, because webinars do work, right? So have a great Friday, everyone. Appreciate your thoughts, feedback, and your support of WZ. We're here to support you as well. Again, don't be shy. Be sure to take care of yourselves, take care of your family, loved ones, friends. Continue to practice that social distancing, and hopefully rather than this being on our new norm, we can make this our old norm much sooner than we thought. Again, happy Friday, everyone. Have a great day. Keep in touch, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Right? Cheers.